I'm here back in the description of the assignment, and I'm looking at the main body. Each one of your body paragraphs will be developed in exactly the same way. It's going to have four elements: a topic sentence, a general explanation, several specific examples, and a concluding sentence. So let's look at how this looks in the actual sample. In the article's first subsection, Misinformation and Manipulation, a tentative classification, the authors define the kinds of social media misinformation studied and then classify them into four categories: fake news, propaganda, conspiracy theories, and false information, rumors, chains, and memes. This is my topic sentence, and it goes back to my preview. Following the topic sentence is the general explanation section of your paragraph. The general explanation does two things: summarizes the article and then explains how it's helpful. What this section emphasizes is that those who use fake news are doing it to deliberately manipulate and deceive, not out of a sense of having identified an error in news reporting and seeking to correct it. Summary. The different categories of fake news discussed by the authors are in fact used to undermine factual and accurate stories. Summary. This insight will be helpful as a way of defining a specific disrupting election strategy, how I'm going to use it. Okay, so right now, this grayed out part of the paragraph is equivalent to the development of 1 and 2 in my points. The rest of the paragraph, except for the last sentence, will now be examples. Each one of your examples will follow the same pattern. You consciously write a sentence to tell what your source is going to support. Tell what the source is going to say. You signal that you're about to use someone else's words or ideas, quote or paraphrase, provide a parenthetical citation, and then warrant the citation, explaining how or why the source is useful. So, first example. An important point to ground the rest of the discussion is the broadened definition of fake news offered by the authors at the beginning of this section. That's what this example is going to support. To signal that I'm about to use somebody else's words, you just say it. The authors. Point out. Now you know it's not my words. People use the term of fake news to mean news that one simply dislikes or disagrees with, citing President Trump as using, quote, it to disqualify any information he does not agree with, period, end quotation. And then in this case, I've got another quotation that I want to use. The authors also point out that politically, the use of fake news is related to extremist opinions, propaganda, and manipulation. Close quotation marks. So that's my quote from the source. To parenthetically cite, you wait until the end of the source. You're done using that source on that page. Then you open the parentheses, put the page number, close the parentheses, and after that, you put the period. If you're working with a document that doesn't have page numbers, then the appropriate thing to do in the parentheses is to cite the author's last name. And then the last thing you do is you warrant the citation, explaining why it's useful. Okay, these are important distinctions because calling something fake usually means accusing it of being false or dishonest rather than simply being disagreeable. So all this is one example. And the reason that I only have one page number, even though I have two sources, is because both these quotations came from the same source. Here's my next example. In the rest of the section, the 4 types of fake news are laid out. That's my transition sentence. The first one, fake news, is defined as news that presents deliberately false content. Tell what idea the source is going to support. The authors signal you're about to use someone else's words or ideas. Emphasize that fake news is always self-serving, either providing money to the writers or political gain for the politician promoting it. You notice there's not quotation marks around anything in this section, and that's because I have paraphrased. That means I've put it into my own words. But it still belongs to the author, so I still, even though it's a paraphrase, have to cite it. And this information happened on page 7. So open parentheses, 7, close parentheses, period, and then my commentary. This news is presented as though it's true when everyone involved in any aspect of it knows that it is false. And then I just keep going. Here's my next point, my next example. My source is paraphrased. And then this is another example. Quotation mark. Another example. Oops. Paraphrase. There's my page number. Look where the period is. Last example. Quote. And then end the paragraph by going back to your main idea. Why is this useful? The usefulness of this section is the context it provides in understanding that fake news as a political strategy depends on deliberately misleading people. I'll take that last little bit out. Real-time editing, you just saw it.